morning out in L.A.?
I'm great. I am not financially ruined because that's not where I find my thrills. Although I do gamble and did lose every single one of my bets yesterday. I'll be all right. I just was enjoying watching greatness, Nick. That's what happened yesterday.
That is what happened yesterday. If you all of a sudden start seeing a lot more Fox Bet ads all over the network, just know that I personally funded them. Just know Fox Bet's like, wow, we have all this extra money. Let's throw it into a marketing budget. So congrats to the folks at Fox Bet. Congrats to Tom Brady for ring number 7. We're going to get to Brady in just a moment. We're going to get to, I think on Mondays, Joy, Colin does where Colin was wrong, where Colin was right.
Yes.
He does that for a segment on Mondays, right?
Yes.
Well, we could do a whole hour, a whole show, a whole week of where Nick was wrong and it just be repeated Tom Brady takes. We'll do something like that at 1 o'clock Eastern time. But where I want to start here quickly is with the MVP of the game, and that's Todd Bowles. And we'll get to Brady in 90 seconds, but first, let me give credit where it's due. What Todd Bowles did and what that defensive front did was wreck the entire game. Now, that's not a unique take. People are going to have that take throughout the day. If you watch the football game, you understand that's what happened. But the way he did it, I don't know if people understand. Todd, that game yesterday was the least any Todd Bowles team has blitzed in 5 years. The way he approached that game saying, you know what I love to do? You know what has gotten me here? Play man-to-man coverage and send people at the quarterback. Nope. We're going to play too high safety for 90+% of the game. We're going to trust that our front four can whoop your beleaguered offensive line, and we are going to see if what had been an unstoppable offensive attack for 3 years can finally be stopped, and it was. And I understand the Bucs have excellent defensive players, but they are not the purple people eaters, and they looked like that last night, and that is where Todd Bowles gets massive credit. And to partially steal a take from my buddy Kevin Wildes, I know all the head coaching jobs are full, but if I'm a team, I am at least calling a meeting and saying, how happy are we with our head coach? Particularly if I'm, I don't know, a team in the AFC West, like, say, the Denver Broncos, that is running it back another year with Vic Fangio, that maybe I say, you know what? Todd Bowles just did this to Patrick Mahomes. We got to go through Patrick Mahomes. Let's quietly contact his agent, see if he'd be available. So Todd Bowles, that coaching staff, Shaq Barrett, JPP, Sue, Vita Vea, those awesome linebackers, Devin White and Levante David, they are the story of yesterday. But the story of the season, and the story that is most interesting big picture is, of course, what this means for Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, who is just, for some, the greatest person ever come into their sports life. And for the rest of us, just for so many years, the bane of so many of our existences. And when we were watching Tom Brady yesterday, I know a lot of the discussion was the NFL GOAT combo. Can Mahomes make this a discussion, or can Brady put it out of reach forever? The answer to that is actually option C. Brady didn't put it out of reach forever, but there is now a Bob Beamon in the long jump in 1968 style gap between first and second. It is so large, it's incomprehensible that anyone come even close to it anytime soon. All the quarterbacks that have more than 2 rings are retired. The only quarterback active with 2 rings is Big Ben, and he is semi-retired. And then there's Pat and Aaron and Russell and a handful of others with 1 that have, 3 careers worth of rings to win if you're going to do a count the rings discussion to determine the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes had a golden opportunity 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game to prevent Mahomes from getting ring number 6. They lost the coin toss, never touched the ball in overtime, and he had a golden opportunity last night to make the ring count 6-2. And for a lot of reasons we will get into, Mahomes had the worst game of his career, most of which is not his fault, but history won't remember that. History will not care that Eric Fisher was out. History will not care of Todd Bowles' defensive scheme. History will simply look at 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, the first time in his entire football life from high school his team didn't score a touchdown in a game. That's how they'll remember it in 7-1 Brady. So if the football GOAT discussion is not one we can have, here is one we can have. And here is what Tom Brady, as much as it pains me to say, here is what he ascended to last night. He ascended to a level in American team sports that there is only currently, well, there was only currently one person at. And that level is, I am the system. I am the championship culture. I am the winning. Where I go, it goes. Now, some other guys maybe could have done that. We just never got to see him do it. Bill Russell, for instance, the greatest champion by ring count in American team sports history. Maybe if Bill Russell would have left the Celtics for the Lakers or the Sixers, the winning would have gone with him. But we don't know that. What we know is he was in Boston for 13 years. They won 11 titles. Joe Montana tried it and damn near accomplished it, but not quite. Joe Montana won his 4 Super Bowls with the Niners, left for my hometown Chiefs. A good Chiefs team made them a very good Chiefs team, but they got to 1 AFC title game and never any further with Joe. Favre tried it. Favre tried it. He left the Packers, went to the Jets, had them 7-5 before the wheels fell off there, then goes to the Vikings. Damn near wins an MVP, gets him to a conference championship game, and then the why would you ponder passing play happens, and that's as close as he got. Michael Jordan tried it. Went to the Wizards after a couple years sabbatical. Now, we don't hold that time against Michael, and Michael played well, was a 20-point-a-game guy, but couldn't even get the Wizards to the postseason. And we understand he's 40 years old. It's not a knock, but it's the truth. And it's also the truth that with Michael, before Phil and after Phil, there was no winning whatsoever. Tom Brady has now done this outside of the New England cocoon. He has now done this without Bill Belichick. He has done this in his first season with a new team that was the losingest team historically in the history of American sports, with a head coach that was a good head coach, but not a proven championship head coach. So what did Tom Brady gain with this Super Bowl victory? Well, he gained admission to a room that previously was only occupied by LeBron James. The room of, I am the system. It does not matter what shape your franchise was in before I got there. You bring me in, and we are competing for championships immediately and perpetually while I am here. And by the way, when I leave, everything will go to hell. I don't know if that's how it always will be in New England, but that's how it was in New England this year. Brady also took another page out of LeBron's playbook, which was, let me try dabbling in a little coaching. We heard throughout the year they're installing more of Brady's game plan, more of Brady's offense. And Brady obviously throughout the year took a page, vintage LeBron playbook. I'll be the unnamed silent partner that's not silent as far as the GM goes. I'm going to tell you some guys I would like. Hey, there's Gronk. I'm familiar with him. Let's bring him in. Oh, Antonio Brown? He's toxic. Nobody wants him. Toxic for good reason. Well, I'll let him live with me. Bring him in. And so when you look at the all-time greatest athletes in American team sports history, there are now 2 that we can confidently say, where they go, the winning follows. And I do think this reframes the way people are going to look at the Brady-Belichick era. Because for some, it will simply become the Brady era. I don't know if that's fair, and I don't know if that will be long-standing, because if Bill has a good run without Tom, then he can reframe the conversation himself. But Brady set the bar so high. Even the biggest Tom Brady fans were not picking the Bucs to win the Super Bowl going into this year. Most weren't. I think there were a few that were. I think what you saw was people saying, well, even if Tom's really good, Belichick has time on his side. Belichick's going to coach longer than Brady.